All right. This thing's settings just blew up on me. All right, can you hear me? All right. My bad. We're gonna have to go from the top. Okay. All right. Let's see what we can do. All right, everyone. I'm going to do this again from the top. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but welcome to ADVMoto Live number 28, Fast Family. But yeah, this is show live number 28. We've got another great show busting out the gate tonight with a focus on kids who not only ride, but race. What do you need to know as a parent, and what kind of challenges will everyone face? All that on tonight's ADVMoto Live number 28. All right. Before we get started, we want to announce that we have just finished producing the world's first adventure motorcycle comic titled Ryder Adventures. All of our Kickstarter supporters have already gotten their special edition print copies. Some of them even got these sick hats. But I can't really express how excited we are to journey into the world of illustrated storytelling, which is ripe for adventure. Ryder Adventures number 1 follows the saga of a young man whose life gets turned upside down, and with the help of his friends and family, he sets off to find himself through adventure riding. If you'd like to pick up a copy of the store, no worries. They will be available at all Barnes & Nobles around the United States, as well as some select locations in Canada around mid-November. Visit farridercomics.com to stay up to date and order your print or digital copy. But now, on with the show. All right. We met tonight's guest at a recent ADVMoto meetup here in Virginia, where I learned he not only works in the industry, is a great rider, but also has a 7-year-old son who rides and races flat track. And when I heard that, I couldn't wait to find out more. Without further ado, everyone, please welcome Ryder and Joe Stelmack.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Going great.
All right. Awesome. So, yeah, man, you guys, real father and son duo over there. First off, can you tell me where you are? It looks like a really cool place.
We're at an awesome spot. It's actually called the Mid-Atlantic Vintage Bikes at the Broom Factory. So, yeah, if you can get a good look. We are currently sitting in the Triumph room. So they have multiple floors here. It's an old historic actual broom factory. But a group of people got together that run the building and started this museum that hosts events, parties. They restore bikes here on site, have special equipment, and I mean, what an amazing space. Kind of cool. Lucky that we have this right here in my hometown of Baltimore. So yeah, we figured if we were coming on live tonight on YouTube, we had to bring out all the stops. So called in a favor and got this as our location for the night.
Oh, well, that's awesome. It's cool to be surrounded by a bunch of awesome steel, right?
This was my house. I'd be at home. I could live right over here in the corner.
Yeah, you said they had Triumph upstairs. You said downstairs they have a bunch of the Spanish bikes.
This is the Triumph room. They have a Spanish room. You got the Bultacos and the Osas down there. They have a room with the history of Maryland. Greg Botwell's motorcycle, and some of the old, actually a map on the wall that shows where some of the old motocross tracks were in the state of Maryland. Just cool to me as a kid who grew up here, but maybe missed was maybe a decade or two too late to actually see motocross tracks in suburbia. So.
Oh yeah, that would be really interesting actually to see that. But times have changed. Well, all right. Can you give us some introductions and tell us, how did you guys start riding?
So I'll start. So I'm Joe. This is Ryder. I started riding when I was a kid on a moped. I started on a Beta Voss Italian moped that was purchased from a neighbor who was into flat tracking and was just an all-around motorcycle guy. Quickly moved on to a 79 DT 100 and had a street legal bike with lights on it. And as I said, another podcast, I used to jump the curbs in suburbia and never really had a chance to ride. And so for me, I never got into racing when I was a kid. I was just, a stick and ball sport kid that was always obsessed with motorcycle riding, had the Dirt Rider magazine posted on the back of my doors and stuck on the walls with glue sticks, and had a whole family that rode on the road, but my off-road experience wasn't much until later on in life. Got into adventure riding, and now full on into dirt track. AMA District 7 dirt track rep. I work for my company Helmet House here, so I supply the local dealerships from Harrisburg to Richmond and Roanoke with helmets, Shoei Alpine Stars, Cortec. So this guy came along and we named him Ryder, and hey, we kind of knew that was going to brainwash him and program him and make darn sure he was going to be a rider, and that someday, when I started this whole journey with him, was that someday I get to ride with him. Someday maybe we've been on an adventure in some single track out in Idaho, later on in life. So that's where it all started. For him, how long you been riding, bud?
For 3 years.
For 3 years. So when you first, wow. So that means, how old are you now, Ryder?
7.
Big old 7. You're going to be driving soon.
I started racing when I was 4, started riding dirt bikes when I was 3.
You started riding dirt bikes when you were 3. You started racing when you were 4. Do you remember much about when you started riding at 3?
Actually, no.
No? No? So your first race was what? What was your first race?
At Timonium Indoors, flat track, cement.
Yeah, right on. That's cool. What kind of bike were you riding when you did that race?
PW50.
Oh, a PW50, right?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool. Do you still have the bike, or have you gotten a newer, cooler bike now? Although that bike is still pretty cool.
Way more cooler bikes. 65, 110, and 50cc.
So you've got 3 bikes now.
Yes. The 65 is a clutch bike. Like 5 or 6 gears. I would start off going off the starting line in second, rev it to right here, and then just slowly let out the clutch.
Oh, and just slowly let out the clutch. That's cool. So how do you shift your other bikes?
The 110, you don't. I usually hold the back brake, rev it up, wait till the green light shows, and then just drop the throttle. Yes.
Yeah, so it's wild to think that, here we are. He says he's been riding since he was 4. He really started, his first ride was in my cousin's backyard on his 1986 maybe PW. Maybe it was an 83. It was like around there. It was one of those classic yellow ones that it was his bike when he was a kid. It was his first motorcycle. And he fixed that up. We stuck Ryder on it in his backyard in the grass, and he was riding around dragging his toes, like we had set up some cones. He could barely get the bike turned to go around the cones. And then flash forward 3 weeks later, I think, was when he turned 4. So when you race, the American Motorcycle Association, the earliest you can technically race is 4 years old. So that's always kind of that mark where you want to get to 4 years old. You can sign them up, sign the waivers. So 3 weeks later, we were racing at the Timonium Indoors on the concrete. I tell the story that, the practice was iffy. yeah, it was a little sketchy. He was kind of getting used to the thing, and I think the final started. He took off and made the first turn in turn one and went straight into the wood wall. The bike slammed into it. You know, Wayne Sodi, who's our D7 president at the time, lifted him up, turned the bike, and he just kept on putzing around. And you know, again, flash forward to think that a couple years later now he's riding 65s with a clutch, flying around tracks at 40, 50 miles an hour. You know,
Wow.
riding around in the woods, and we've done some motocross events. So yeah, it's, you know, it's crazy how it started. It's crazy how quickly these kids can progress.
Yeah.
I often joke that he's going to be he's nearly a better rider than me already. He's probably going to eclipse me in the next year.
Well, you know, Ryder, one of the benefits of being young is if me or your daddy hit a wooden wall, we probably wouldn't just bounce off it and keep riding like that. we would probably we would probably be down for the count for a little bit, depending on how severe it was, you know. But that's the great thing about learning when you're young, right? Because you know, you can recover from the stuff, you know, and you're not pushing crazy speeds. However, 30, 40, 50 miles an hour is pretty fast. Do you get scared when you go that fast, Ryder?
Actually, no, not scared at all.
Wow. Do you like going fast?
But like when I go really fast in the straightaway on this little track that we always go to, like I go really fast, really try and get first place. All the people who are racing me really good, they're getting better. I'm trying to get better. My dad's trying to get me to do really gnarly stuff. So about this track, like I'm trying to go like full speed down the straightaway, but like once I get to the turn, I like I'm trying to like slam on my brakes, trying to keep enough speed to go into the turn, but like once I just like slipped right off I had a KTM, I just slipped right off it, went down, got up, picked my bike up, kept going.
Wow, that's cool. So, man, if he goes down like that, I mean, how do you feel as a parent?
It's certainly scary, and you know, it's you know, in most of the racing that we do, you know, you have people that are in charge of safety, you have referees, you have flaggers, right? So in most AMA sanctioned events, there's certain parameters that need to be met. So you have to put a certain level of trust in that the promoter or the track officials and those type of people, that the safety measures are in place that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. But I can't tell you, I mean, it is the first time that happens, and we get it a lot where, you know, they say to the parents before the race, listen, you can't jump the fence, you can't come running out on this track, even if your son or daughter goes down. So it's tough when that first happens, and it's part of the sport. Just as much as it affected me when my older son, who plays ball sports, you know, suffered a few concussions. I mean, you want to run out on that field and you know, be there for your child, but that's, you know, it's motorcycle racing as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you also race yourself?
I do. I get out there from time to time, but not nearly as much as some of my friends. So it, you know, for me, it was just my cousin was is into it, so he runs trials, he runs flat track, he runs woods racing. Phenomenal rider. He's also got about 10 years younger on me. So you know, like you talked about earlier, these old bones. I got to watch what I do. Obviously, I'm a professional and have a career, and I do want to be, you know, as I say, I want to race on the weekends, but I also want to be there at work on Monday morning. But the type of racing we do in the flat track, and you know, I pick and choose which tracks I run, which events I'll actually get out there and do. For the past couple of years, I volunteered for the Sprint Cross series put on by Billy and Nancy Slag here in the Mid-Atlantic. That's now you know, kind of morphed into the U.S. Sprint Enduro, but I was a sweep rider for them. So I worked the event, set up, you know, was out putting up the arrows in the woods, you know, helping pound stakes, basically try to help out wherever I can. Put on that yellow safety vest, and again, be part of the crew that goes out and rides with the kids, make sure that when they tip over, start their bikes back up. So what I always told people was, I got enough riding in. I could run those tracks as many times as I wanted in a day. And when you talk about a weekend worth of riding, it's about all I need.
Yeah. Certainly. So, when did you realize that Ryder had, talent or an interest in two wheels?
So, as I alluded to earlier, I really did try to brainwash this young one here. And I mean that by the fact that we bought him one of those Strider bikes, or I can't remember, maybe it was my parents. He got his Strider bike before he was a year old. So he was one of those kids that started walking early, around 10 months. And, by that year old, when he had that Strider bike, he was, waddling around with the Strider bike under him. And then it just progressed. And we watched, again, it's so amazing how quickly these kids can learn. And flashback to my older 16-year-old who at the time, balance bikes weren't really popular. So he was a training wheel kid. So we went this route of this miraculous balance bike that everybody's telling me about, the Strider bike. And I mean, he was balancing on the thing so much so that I bought him the auxiliary foot brake that was down the bottom, just that basically was a friction brake that pushed on the back tire, because he was going down hills and
so fast. Yeah.
He
can't stop.
Shredding up shoes. So we had to do something to find out how to get him stopped. And then the avenue that we explored was BMX racing. So, I want to give a plug and give just a huge shout out to, USA BMX and that system and that type of racing that they have going on, which I believe is growing just as much as the motorcycle industry is going with off-road, with woods racing, flat track. But there was a local track that we went to, and they actually have balance bike racing. So they kind of cut off the track. They let you do that final straightaway that had enough bumps and stuff. They had a metal gate that was made out of some old bleachers, and they would line the kids up and drop the gate. And it was basically like whatever kid could run the fastest and keep that thing on two wheels and cross that finish line. And we started doing that when he was 2. So they had Strider 2s, Strider 3, Strider 4, Strider 5. So whatever age you were, if you were 2.5, 2 or 2.5 or 2 3/4, you were in the 2s, or so you went out there, and so cute. I mean, so cool to see these young kids, and that was our first taste of competition, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of those things. And he was the kid that was hucking it down before his Strider races. He was the one who was dropping in on the main gate down the concrete pad while the other kids were playing around in the dirt. So we kind of saw a little bit of something where he was like willing to send it a little bit harder.
Right on, man.
So it's like we had to buy the bike with pneumatic tires because the foam tires didn't hold him anymore. And that was kind of his 2s and 3s. And then we knew, I kind of put in that call to my cousin and said, hey, let's get that old PW run. I think this kid might be into it. Let's give it a shot. Yeah,
there's probably actually more opportunities for kids to get in on kind of grassroots fun racing out there than a lot of people know. I mean, have you guys ever been to a proper, like one of the Strider Cups that's organized by the Strider organization?
We haven't, and trust me, I'm one of those research guys, and man, I watch those YouTube videos and some of these kids that are leaning over the handlebars, and I saw one I think was in a warehouse over the water in Seattle, Washington, and I was just like, wow, this is insane. This is really cool. We really did, and I saw there was one out in maybe Colorado that had a little bit of elevation, but yeah, great avenue. Like, again, a great company that's growing the sport of both bicycling and motorcycling, and supporting it through, like you said, grassroots events.
Yeah, absolutely. We went to one in Pittsburgh with our older son, Max, several years ago, and it was run really well. Same thing, gate, everyone lined up. Sometimes people didn't know where to line up because it was just kind of madness. But yeah, it's incredible to see him down there. And that's an international organization. So they have an international, like a grand finals thing. But
right.
I mean, the kid's the beat. I think, are from Japan and Russia.
Japan. No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Japanese
saw that.
kids are rocking it, man.
Just
They're
roll.
Superman the whole time.
Yep. But right over the handlebars and just running at full speed.
It's amazing. You can hardly see their feet move. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
So now, okay, so then you graduate, let's say, from a balance bike. Now, Ryder, do you remember your balance bike? I mean, did you like using your balance bike, or do you like pedal bikes?
I actually still like both.
You like
My
both?
sister now has my pedal bike, so yeah, I still see that thing a lot.
Balance bike. She has your blue balance
Yes.
bike. Yeah.
She has your balance bike. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. And does she have a similar interest in racing, or not as much?
I don't think she's done racing yet on the Strider bike.
Mm.
She did not, but we will be doing a downhill mountain bike competition in October. So she's entered in the 4 to 5 year old girls class, and he's in the 7 to 8 year old boys class. So we're gonna give it a shot. We tried a Stasic bike, and maybe that's where I wanted to go next. Is that when he was learning, we were thinking about that first ride. For him, it was a PW, of course, and I don't think that's 40 years of history and just the amazing story to hear about PWs being passed through families, just like ours has been. It's now with another family member, and he's learning on that. But now you have the avenue of Stasic bikes, and another super cool company, guys that were passionate about the sport, started this, developed this great tool, which is an electric balance bike, essentially, you can call it, that we are incorporating into the different disciplines of racing over the past couple of years. We're trying to support that as much as we can in the flat track. And I talked to Nancy today from Sprint Cross Series about, they're still running their Saturday night, exhibition races with the kids, the racers, sons and daughters out there on Stasics, rolling around the night before the actual race. So we're getting kids out there in that race, in that structure of a race, earlier than we ever have. So pretty neat.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, have you guys considered, who was it? Guys like KTM, also make these kind of like electric, small kids trail dirt bikes. Have you guys thought about trying one of those, or do you already have one, or?
We thought about it, and man, we've experienced it firsthand, the power of those. And I'll give shout out to some of his race buddies and his fellow competitors. I mean, those bikes, there's mixed feelings on them out there in the industry, and I think in the motorcycle world, as to do we really want them to all go electric? But I think one thing I can tell you is they're very competitive. They're great,
especially for racing.
They're great avenues. They're great avenues for potentially a family, that doesn't have as much mechanical experience. And I'll put myself in that category as well, because I'm coming back from, not being away from motorcycles for a time in my life, and got back in it with the ADV and the woods bikes.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back into the mechanicals of the bikes that I knew from when I was a kid. So it's, fixing up the moped and fixing up the old DT100. But these new electric bikes are, from what I hear from some of my friends that their kids have them, is they're relatively, I wouldn't say maintenance free, but you're talking about chains and tires.
Yeah, right.
The struggle we've gone through is the learning curve of these 50cc automatic motorcycles. Once you step up from the relatively bulletproof PW50 to the KTMs, the Cobras, they have these centrifugal clutches that can be very intimidating.
Right.
So that would be one benefit. I would say, +1 for electric motorcycles.
Mm-hmm. There's also less heat. There's no gas or fluids to spill if they turn over. But what do you think, Ryder? Gas or electric? What do you think, Ryder?
Better answer.
What do you like more, gas or electric?
Better say there's nothing like a two-stroke.
I actually like both, because for Christmas, we're trying to get this trials bike where you can change the speed and stuff from like low, medium to high. It goes really, really, really fast. It goes nice and fast. Like any 7, 8, 6 kid can get this bike. Has no seat, has to stand up. I would prefer like slow and medium fast mode, all 3 modes, to do like pop wheelies, just like push down, pull up. You're doing straight up wheelies.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
what he's talking about is when you get into riding and racing with the kids, there's I say that because there's kind of 2 avenues, and it's I think part of the show is about what's again, the reason I started this journey with him was that just someday, he loves motorcycles as much as I did when I was a kid. As any parent, at least for me, I want to strive to provide, fun, provide for my kids, as much as or more than I had when I was a kid, right? Isn't that the kind of American dream, right? So I dreamt of having motorcycles when I was a kid. I never got one, so I went and bought him one and got him down this road and brainwashed him.
Yeah, same.
But it's a lot of work, and let's be honest, it's an expensive sport. So you start out with a beat up old PW, and then we bought a newer one, and he did really well on that one. And then we bought a Cobra, and then traded that one for this one, and had a KTM 50. It was an old KTM Adventure 50. And you're kind of trading one bike to sell for the next bike, to get the next bike, to make the next move, and how fast are they going? And and then you just come down to the weekends where you're saying, I really got into this in the first place just to hang out with my kid and ride motorcycles. So so some of those days where you're like, you don't need to race every single weekend. Sometimes you just want to grab a 110 and go out in the woods and just ride on some trails with some rocks, and just look at the view and enjoy the time together. Right?
Yeah, man, get some ape hangers on that dirt bike, right? Right, Ryder? You need to get some ape hangers. Get your arms way up there. Get your arms up there. Hey, we have a question. We have a question from the chat room.
Yeah, like
What, he's got a question. He's got a question. Listen.
Yeah, we got a question for you, and this is for Ryder. Is this Ian Riley? Asked. I don't know if you know him or not. Maybe you do.
Ian.
Okay, hold on a second, Ryder. He wants to know what Ryder or who Ryder is your favorite pro racer, Dan Bromley or Cooper Webb?
Oh, don't put him. Oh no, don't put that on him, Mr. Ian.
Oh my God.
Don't put that on him, Mr. Ian.
Oh my God.
We'll break that up.
I can see my face getting red.
Who's your favorite flat track?
Oh,
Who's your favorite flat track?
Dan Bromley.
Who's your favorite motocross racer?
Cooper.
Yeah, there we go. We'll answer that question the right way.
So it's 2 favorites?
Well, 2 different disciplines. So we're just
Yeah.
Like about 2 or 3 favorite motocross.
Yeah, he likes to like it. The point, and that's a great question, Ian. I mean, it's here's something that we're blessed. We're in District 6 and District 7, which is a flat track, hotbed, let's call it, part of the country. And no offense to the Michigan crew and the California and the guys down south in Ohio, but what a great local district here in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, DC, like in this area. Great tradition, and Dan Bromley is a current pro, and I mean, it's so cool to go to an event or and help him out in his journey through flat track, and be invited to his father-in-law's house and get to ride for the day with a pro. I mean,
that's cool.
Think about that Ryder's been on the track with Dan multiple times. I mean, he came to our friend Charlie, who's a young racer, came to his birthday party and hung out and rode the track with us all day.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's the cool thing about the racing, especially in the riding and the grassroots, man. It really is like a big family.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And the friends we meet in the woods, and the family that we developed there, and the family we have at the flat track, and all the friends we've met. And that's the biggest part of this journey. We got in it for something for he and I to share, and it's just opened up our world, just like the ADVMoto world. There's a whole world out there for a lot of these families to get involved and find a great community of support riding and racing. It's not all business. It's not all serious. It doesn't have to be, and you can get out of it what you want to get out of it. You know, you don't have to be completely serious. We have we started a class this year in flat track that's 7 to 11-year-old 110 class. So it's, you know, it's a fun class out there that it's not too serious. You know, like, again, we want to get as many people in the sport as we can, and share the stoke. And Ian Riley from Frederick Tanyama, that's a dude that him and his dad, you know, that's a stoked out guy.
Right on, man. Right on. So, you know, as a parent, you know, what worries or concerns do you think parents have in general when letting their kids ride? And, you know, how do you kind of overcome that? You know what I mean?
You kind of do have to, you know, sometimes they get out there, and it's just as much as we have to as adults, right? I mean, there's certain situations, certain rides, and certain situations we put ourselves in as riders, where you kind of have to just listen to that music, tune those thoughts out of your head, because you're having so much fun. And I mean, this is life. Life is short. You got to enjoy it. Have as much fun as possible with your time here on this planet, you know. And to me, the most fun I have is when I'm on a motorcycle. For him, it's, you know, I ride behind him, I ride next to him, you know, I watch him out there on that track. And you know, it's a lot of deep breaths. It's a lot of, you know, a lot of trusting in the gear, trusting in, again, I mentioned before, trusting in the people that are involved in that event. You know, you got to have the right kind of safety gear. We've been a proponent of that from the beginning, with, you know, helmet, boots, knee pads, pants, right? So you're doing shoulder pads. We have the Liat Fusion collar neck brace integrated roost deflector. He's now graduated to a road racing style helmet and HJC RFA 11 for his flat track. As soon as I can fit him in the Shoei VFX Evo size extra small, he's going to be in one, right? So I mean, I want to make sure that at least as a parent, I'm doing the best thing I can. I got to be honest. There's times when he jumps out in the backyard and, you know, starts the bike up, and he may only have jeans on and a pair of Vans, but he's always wearing his helmet, right? So that's mandatory.
Always wearing my helmet and my boots.
Yeah, usually helmets and decent size shoes. Gloves, not always necessary, but
if you always want to ride a dirt bike without like gear stuff, you always gotta have you gotta have gloves, boots, and a helmet.
Yeah, at least.
And yeah, you have to wear pants, because if you wear shorts, you're just gonna get your leg burned. Like, that engine, if you ride that bike so long, yeah, like it happened to me once. Like literally, my whole entire, like, some of my leg just got red.
Oh, yeah. You have to be careful. It can be hot even if you're close to it and you're not even touching it.
I got a burn right here on my leg.
Yeah. There's, I mean, so, and that's maybe that's a good segue. And you know, when you do this type of racing, flat track and otherwise, I think the AMA, you know, most organizations, promoters, and sanctioned events require helmet, gloves, and boots. You know, we've had kids that show up. You know, we did one of Corey Texter's races down in the Winter Throwdown down in Florida this past January, and there was the local owner of the track had his I think it was his grandkids there, and I happened to have extra gear, and the dad walked up to me and said, "Hey, you don't have any extra gear?" I said, "Absolutely. I carry a couple sets. I've got these pads." And so they had some, you know, muck boots, and they had the helmet. So, but I gave them some elbow pads, jersey, pants, and some gloves, because really all they needed was the boots that quote unquote go over the ankle.
Yeah, right.
For 6 to 8 inches tall, depending on. But I mean that's it. I mean, listen. Let's be honest. There's a lot of kids riding in the backyard of their farm or whatever that just, you know, pair of muck, pair of jeans, and I've done it myself. You know, when I'm riding around and, you know, Penn Merrill Farm and just cruising to the bathroom. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you know, we always hear a lot, especially in this country, about risks and all this kinds of stuff, and isn't it scary? But, you know, I think there are probably some incredible benefits to this. You know, learning how to ride and control the machine like this when someone is very young. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. You know, I always, again, part of me was like, I just wish I would have, you know, started riding or racing when I was younger. I feel like I'd be farther along than I am even now. Um, but it's made me, the time I spent on my little DT 100 riding in the woods behind my elementary school, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, made me such a better rider when it came to riding on the road. I'm a wholehearted believer that kids, people, anybody that rides motorcycles are just better drivers, period, because they're more aware of their surroundings.
Traction too.
Traction, right? I mean, you're losing traction in a turn on Tail of the Dragon in a gravel corner after a rain the day before, and hey, it's all good. I've been here before. I'm okay with it. I mean, imagine a kid that started flat tracking when he was 4. It'll make me feel better when he's out there, maybe riding in his 20s at college somewhere with his buddies. Hey, we're going to go to, or I'm going to ride down to Daytona with my friends. If that becomes something for him. And it provides those other subtle benefits of responsibility, of you know, when you're committed to something, you know, see it through as best you can. You know, he's one of those kids that I really feel like part of motorcycles and motorcycle racing being a part of his life makes him an all-around better kid, a better student. You know, he knows how to get up early in the morning and be on that start line for the Sprint Cross Series in the woods. You know, at the crack of dawn. He knows not to complain, and this is what it is. He knows how to jump in the car and drive, you know, 10 hours down to Florida nonstop, and sleep and wake up the next day and do a flat track race. And
real racing lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean,
race life, man, race life.
It's that old school. Yeah, it's that old school. You know, we got our moto van and we sleep in it, and we're not that fancy.
No,
you know,
that's cool, man.
Cooking out of the back in a little 2-burner stove, and
that's cool.
We don't have the $100,000 RVs. We live in suburbia. We got a small Sprinter, a small transit van. We got a couple bikes that are, you know, I would call them hand-me-downs. They're all used. You know,
sure, yeah.
Making the most out of it, and just, again, living the stoke, living the dream, working this thing. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, love it.
That's cool. Hey, Ryder.
Yeah.
So, do you think that riding a motorcycle makes you maybe more confident as a kid versus other kids your age?
Yeah, doing gnarly stuff like my dad and me do, really, yeah.
You think so? Are you good at your books? You get good grades?
Yup. Today I got like every question right and stuff.
Every question right and stuff? That's awesome. Are you back to school now? You should be back to school now, right?
Yes.
That's
we just
good.
got back from vacation. The beach was really nice. 2 very windy days. The waves were going crazy. We were on this little platform. We could chill. My dad set up the hammock. We were just chilling.
Little downtime.
Chilling with my cousin.
We would have otherwise have a race this Sunday, but I'm going to be working the International Motorcycle Show at Carlisle.
Okay.
We will be missing our District 6 flat track race. But yeah, you know, we mix it up. You got to have that downtime. You got to have that time away from racing and motorcycles. And like I say, you always have to have that time and just enjoy the ride, right? So
right.
Make it fun, and make sure they're having fun doing it. You know, it's one of these sports that kids not into it. You probably don't want to be a racing family. But I can tell you that there's a lot of times when he drives to the track and he may not be that excited, and it's it's the morning, and we got to drive this far. He's whining, complaining, and then we get there, and man, he'll have one of his best days ever because he's just excited. You know, his moods, as any 7-year-olds, their moods can change quickly.
Yeah. Hey, you got something you want to say, Ryder?
Yeah. No, that has nothing to do with this. He just
What
wants to
is
tell
it?
you. He wants to tell you about his cousin getting hurt at the beach because he jumped off a platform. It has nothing to do with motorcycles. But it just shows you that an innocent vacation at the beach turns into a kid in the boot. So like I always
Yeah,
say,
that's right.
live it. And
That's right. Hey, Ryder, enjoy this time while you're young. It is a magic time of your life. It won't make any sense now, but but maybe you wait about 20 or 30 more years, and it might be more apparent. So, I mean, it looks like you're already kind of well down this road, right? I mean, you've kind of done some races. You guys already are familiar with what is required, and also it certainly helps to be in the industry too. I mean, you can get to meet a lot of people. I mean, you probably have some good access to gear or discounts and all kinds of fun stuff like that. But I mean, overall, I mean, if you wanted to give, let's say, one or two important tips to parents, that would maybe help making learning how to ride easier for either a kid or an adult, what would you say?
I'm going to answer that. So there'd be I think there's actually, I would say three things. So, I had some time to think about this, obviously knowing we were going to be on this week. And, I've talked about this before. I've done some open house seminars at some of my dealerships, and I'm going to touch on that first, that, developing a relationship with a local dealer, having that trusted resource for you. And it is not knocking any of the online avenues, but I've said this before, when you develop a relationship, like we did starting out with our local shop, Ellicott City Motorsports, and we're Yamaha family, and Kale and Chris and those guys, and knowing that we could trust them, we were getting good bikes, good advice, good parts, tips here and there, and then you kind of move on. You got to do a lot of this stuff on your own when you become a race family, but having that relationship with your local shop that has those employees and parts managers and apparel guys and gals that are going to guide you and get you the right size gear, the right fitting helmet, right? Like, right gear for what you're going to be doing. And they'll help you out in that aspect. And then you're going to find the club or organization or the series that you want to be a part of, to kind of dip your feet in the water for any type of racing, right? So I spoke about USA BMX and how you can get into that. You find that local track, that local motocross track. Again, organization like MAMA, Mid-Atlantic Motocross Association, SXCS here in the Mid-Atlantic, the Sprint Cross Country Series, District 6, District 7, the Baltimore County Trail Riders. So we joined the Baltimore County Trail Riders because, that was a club that put on the flat track racing, and we wanted to become closer part of that community, volunteer, meet other, meet new friends, kind of expand your motorcycle world. And by having those clubs and those organizations, those series and those different disciplines, we've got this big extended moto family. That's actually what led me to this career, was through connections. And the moto world is a close-knit world, and it's a great industry. It's a great sport. So you've got that. So you got your relationship with your local shop. You got find your series and your club to join, where you can start finding places to ride, places to race, and then find your friends and your resources beyond those shops and those clubs. You start developing more closer relationships that can help you. It's that phone call where it's the night before the race. I can remember one of the Sprint Cross races, and the Sakanikas, of course, phenomenal racing family, off-road family, and hey, dude, I was trying to fix Ryder's KTM centrifugal clutch, and I'm running over to his motorhome, and he's pulling out this little, pack full of parts, and here, take it, fix this, do this, torque this down to this. I think John Ross and his boys had a torque wrench, and then I'm wrenching on his bike until 11 o'clock at night in the dark, and we had a race starting at 8 o'clock the next morning. But wow. The friends and your moto family that's there to support you, and it's in every single community, in every
That's
single
cool.
in every single country.
That's cool. Hey, Ryder, do you have more friends that are like your riding buddies, or do you have more friends at your regular school every day? Or is it balanced, like the same, like
I
even?
think it's balanced or something. I mean, I do have a lot of friends.
With the moto, and then for sure.
Yeah.
We got a whole crew. I mean, it's you see the same kids, the same families each weekend. It's so cool, and some of them we won't see for months, and then it's like when you do any adventure ride, maybe you haven't seen that dude or that gal in months. It's like you just left yesterday, right? You pick right back up where you left off, and that's the moto family.
Yeah, right on, man. So you learn from friends, you learn from each other, but a lot of times, especially with family and or husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, sometimes it's good, to not necessarily have to be, kind of looking at each other all the time while you're doing this stuff. I mean, has Ryder had any other form of training, outside of you and the clubs or anything like that? Or, I mean, is there a place where someone can get that kind of stuff?
Certainly. I mean, that's part of these, that is part of these clubs, and the relationships you get. Like we mentioned Dan Bromley and some of these ex-pros that are always in your area, some of these racers. There's informal training that happens, just organically through this. I wouldn't consider myself a trainer by any means, but I'm a resource for anybody that wants to reach out to me, and I can help you along. But when it comes to riding technique, I'm not going to say that I'm any riding expert. There's these, there's certified coaches now that are out there. I think I mentioned Chris from Ellicott City Motorsports, Chris Healy. He's now a certified motorcycle instructor. You have like Motorcycle Excitement for road racing, right? There's Sandy Hook Mini Moto, which is where they got these kids on 50s out there racing on go-kart tracks.
Cool.
And then you have, the great organization like DC Dirt Camp that BJS runs, that and Marjorie White works at, and training kids, adults, newbies, experienced riders. I mean, I can remember doing a rawhide event myself right when I first got into the ADV bikes. Bob's BMW put on one with Sean Thomas from Rawhide Adventures. You know what I mean? We went down to Wycomico Motorsports Park, and it was ADV 101, how to pick that bike up without getting a hernia. I'm a big proponent about, gathering as much as I can, immersing myself in something. And for the kids, quite honestly, some of the older kids, it's just great when you see 13-year-old. I mean, he trains and gets to ride. We're blessed to ride on our friend the Grimmel's farm for flat track practice, and
that's cool.
He's a phenomenal flat track racer. She's 12 years old now, and she's kicking the boys' butts. But Ryder's 7, so he gets to ride with her and Andrew and Charlie and the whole crew and all his friends, and they're all in their teens. So he's out there training with kids that are older, and it's almost seems like these older kids in the woods racing and the flat track, they're always there to help these younger kids. And
wow,
they support them, and they're, hey Ryder, what's up? It's like, it's so cool.
That's awesome, Ryder. That's cool, Ryder. Hey, Ryder, man, you're a lucky kid. You know that? That's cool. That's awesome. So so there is some training out there that you can get. Definitely. I think a lot of parents have a they have some kind of underlying fear, paranoia about. I mean, even themselves. I mean, a lot of parents themselves don't feel comfortable getting on a motorized vehicle, whether it's fast or not. That's two wheels. Like, if there's no cage, it's not safe. But I think a lot of us that do it understand that that's not necessarily true, and you don't have to be full grown to do it. It's better sometimes to even do it when we're younger, But I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show, because I think old Ryder's running out of steam there. You got school tomorrow, Ryder?
Yeah.
When do you usually go to bed? What's your usual bedtime?
Now I'm trying to go to bed at like around 8.
Oh yeah, so it is late.
I want to wake up early. I told my dad last night I wanted to wake up early so we can ride around the block once or twice.
He was up
Oh,
at
that's
6.
awesome.
He was up at 6:30 this morning and wanted to go for a bike ride around the block. So.
Wow, that's awesome. Is that a BMX bike?
Dirt jumper downhill mountain. We're in full. We're gonna have fun at this downhill event. So yeah, we're back on the bikes for a little bit now, training. Yeah, sweet.
Hey, when you come home from school, Ryder, what do you like to do when you come home from school? What do you like to do? Do you like to play video games? Like a lot of them?
Yeah, I like to hang out with my friends. Just
Online?
play a little, yeah.
Yeah, what do you play? Like Roblox?
Yes, definitely Roblox.
You play a lot of Roblox?
I'm not playing my favorite video game right now because it's school time. I would play it like during the summertime. Now it's like my summer game.
Now it's like your summer games.
Yeah.
So what video games do you play in the summer?
Usually most Fortnite, Minecraft.
Fortnite and Minecraft. That's the summer selection. Okay, well, all right, guys. Last question for the evening, fellas. Okay, this is the one we asked everybody on the show, and that is: are there any words of inspiration for adults or kids looking to ride? Dad, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. You want to take it? Take it. What do we always say?
Get out there, have some fun, try your best.
Try your best. Right. I mean, always make it fun. No. He likes the song. This is the old the wonderful movie show produced Jackass. They have a song on there that says, "If you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough."
That's right.
I often play that song for him sometimes when he falls down. I'll put it on my phone and we'll have a laugh. But no, I mean, hey, listen, this sport's all about having fun. When it's in your blood, it's in your blood. And the earlier you can start them, gosh, the more hours, the more days, the more years of enjoyment you're going to get out of this sport. Yeah, be safe out there. But most of all, just have fun. Fun.
Awesome. Very well said. Very well said. Well, thank you both very much for taking the time to come on tonight. Ryder, thank you for staying up so late. I know that, you like to start your day early to get your training in, right? Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's got to get his training in. But, yeah, guys, hang around for a few minutes after the show, and, we will just kind of do a post-show wrap-up, okay? All right. Thanks very much, guys. All right. Thanks much again to both Ryder and Joe for coming in tonight's ADV show. Whether we're big or little kids, there's always room to grow. On asphalt or dirt, we can learn and put ourselves to the test. And as Benjamin Franklin once said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So, thanks very much again to not only Joe and Ryder, but to everyone coming out tonight. Let me do a quick announcement for our next show. All right. Join us next month for ADVMoto Live number 29. I think that should be Thursday, October 14th, for a fun-filled episode about Kawasaki's new 2022 KLR 650. We will talk about its development, performance, and we may even be able to get some of the folks from Team Green to come online and share some of their KLR stories with us and hopefully answer a couple questions from the chat room. So please don't miss it. We've also posted our article and video online, and check out those links if you haven't already. There are some pretty good updates to the bike worth knowing about. But as always, your support means a lot. It keeps the motorcycle world running. Visit adventuremotorcycle.com for more stories, news, reviews, videos, and podcasts. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. Plus, let us know what you'd like to see in the comments below. Until next time, from everyone here at ADVMoto, ride safe, have fun, and remember, the adventure is you.